The Woods family will move to their rural home. Kira and Brian are proud of the home they bought for their son and children. Stephen is also enthusiastic. However, their daughter Ellie is different. She feels distant from her parents and regrets leaving her friends because they don't understand her. This is Zale's house. Except for the pentagon door, every door has an antique painting of a man with a raised finger and letters from an unknown alphabet with a triangle beneath them. When they investigate, the basement doesn't interest them. Ellie is about to leave when the door closes. Problem: lock won't open again. Also, she gets scared when she senses a shadowy presence. Brian can let her out at night with the door key. Kira calls Ellie to watch Stephen so she and Brian can attend an urgent office meeting while Ellie chats with a long-lost friend. A mysterious figure frightens her unexpectedly. Stephen, wearing a cloak, holds an unusual skull he found in a recreation room secret compartment. Ellie discovers a plaque that reads "Saw that coagulate" in the family's unknown secret compartment. Abacuses and old record players were there. Stephen claims to have heard the house had a witch that begged to try the record player after pact with Satan. A man's voice reads the record's equation before counting after Ellie starts it. An unexpected breeze blows in through the basement door hours later, knocking out power to the house. Kira tells Ellie's mother to check the basement circuit breaker after she calls for help. "I'm afraid to enter that pitch-black room." After Ellie says she's not up to the task, Kira reveals her mental trick for avoiding distractions. She's complete. Kira encourages Ellie throughout her countdown. The last step should be 10. Ellie finishes the line but trips after closing her eyes. Ignoring her words, Kira hears her count to 30. Kira and Brian run home quickly. They arrive at the house but cannot find Ellie. Police are called. No results were found after a quick search of nearby woods. The police advise Ellie's parents to wait for news because there is no evidence of a crime and Ellie has escaped before, since she's probably spending the morning with a friend. After asking nearby residents for help, the family returns to the woods to search. But it doesn't change the outcome. Brian understands Ellie fled because he knows she was angry with them. Kira disagrees. Ellie was sure something had happened because her voice was haunted while counting. Kira hangs up, posts missing person signs, and forgets to pick up Stephen from school the next day, until her teacher calls. With her son, Kira checks the police station for updates. The detective is quiet. We reviewed transportation hub surveillance footage. They also contacted Ellie's friends. No leads exist because they haven't found her phone. Only one thing the detective can say is that Ellie has been bullied online for a while. Ellie feels guilty because she didn't know Kira had requested forensics to examine the cellar, making Kira think her daughter didn't run away. Before she returns home, the detective must repeat that this is not a criminal case and he cannot act. Kira searches online for the phrase "saw that coagulate" carved above the front door while Stephen bounces his ball against the cellar door. This term, to dissolve and coagulate, is linked to ancient alchemy, according to search results. Related images include a strange snake and a 5-pointed star. Kira calls Stephen to investigate after her son drops the ball near the cellar. Stephen runs over, and her son follows. Stephen assures his mom Ellie's disappearance night was normal. They thought it was insignificant, so they turned on the record player. After getting back online, Kira checks Ellie's social media and discovers that her daughter has a hidden anarchist tattoo. Kira then double-checks the basement. She enters with a light after briefly staring at the pentagon above the door. After seeing Roman numerals on the stairs, she sees an equation that matches the record players. The most disturbing discovery is when the tube's ultraviolet light reveals several unsettling wall-painted faces. After this, the police send forensics, who accidentally drop Stephen's ball into the basement. The police can only confirm that the painting has been there since the 1950s because they can find no other information. When asked about the house's history, Brian says they only know it belonged to an elderly woman. And it was cheap for them. Everyone in the family goes to bed after sunset. Stephen woke Kira by waiting in bed with him after changing his sheets. In the bathroom, Kira listens to her daughter's answering machine for comfort. Kira suddenly hears Ellie counting. As she leaves the bathroom, the voice echoes through the same pipes. Kira follows it and discovers its basement origin. After accidentally kicking Stephen's ball, it falls down the stairs as she enters. It also takes too long to bounce to the last step. Kira goes downstairs and turns on the light, but the ball is gone. Brian finds Kira in the morning. Never went back to bed. He searches for her and sees her looking at the entrance symbols. She also has the cellar equation on paper. He understands worthlessness. Brian thinks focusing on meaningless symbols is pointless. Kira then asks her realtor about the previous owner. Unfortunately, he only knows that she was the house's original owner's daughter, a famous academic. Nevertheless, he promises to learn more. Kira, always looking for new things to do, photographs the door symbols before work. She gives her secretary the photo and tells her to find its meaning at a meeting. After arriving, she leaves quickly because her anxiety prevents her from paying attention. She interrupts Kira to tell her the symbols are Hebrew glyphs that spell Leviathan, a Jewish sea monster. Stephen is bleeding when Kira picks him up from school. He fought after hearing Ellie died, according to a classmate. Kira notices that the Leviathan illustrations online match the serpent she saw with the Soviet coagulant article. She then tests the record player. When the voice counts, the rec room abacus ticks automatically. Stephen counts as he approaches the open secret compartment. Luckily, Kira hears him and silences the record player before heading to his son to help. When asked about the incident, Stephen seems to have forgotten his actions. Kira approaches the painting of the man gesturing with his index finger. She learns his name is John Featherstone, and the picture has Hebrew glyphs. After searching for his name online, Kira discovers that his family has left this house except for his daughter. At that moment, a strange wind from under the cellar door cuts power. Stephen yells for help from behind the cellar door. Kira acts quickly to free him. The key is missing, so the door won't open. She turns away from the keyhole to find Stephen in the corner after seeing an eerie eye staring at her. The power returns unexpectedly, and the cellar door opens by itself, revealing the key on the floor. Kira enters the cellar and hangs the key again using her phone flashlight. When she enters, the door closes, prompting her to ask Stephen for help. Since he's too short to reach the key, he should get a chair. Kira drops her phone to look into the cellar again, and whatever is down there breathes heavily and gets closer. The monster climbs the stairs as Kira's desperation grows. Brian arrives in time to unlock the door, saving her. Kira later tells Brian her phone disappeared and she felt a presence in the basement. She mentions the Featherstone family's disappearance like Ellie. In order to reassure her, Brian thinks she's seeing things. Brian searches the basement for her phone and finds a clump of hair. Kira visits Dr. Remy at the Featherstone Wing National College of Mathematics the next day. To help Annette, a brilliant mathematician, Kira gives him the cellar equation on paper. He reads it aloud, the lights flicker, and he solves the equation, revealing more about Featherstone. He worked here before working with Erwin Schrödinger, who proved that a cat in a box could be alive and dead. Featherstone collaborated with Schrödinger before his son's illness forced him to leave academia. Only Rose, his daughter, knows what happened to him. Kira bought the house from her. Due to her inability to overcome it, Rose avoids discussing it. Because Annette visualizes the equation and sees additional dimensions. However, he has never encountered anything so complex. It will take time for him. Thus, he promises to contact Kira with the findings later. Kira rushes home to charge her new phone. Vernick calls her and says he has been trying to reach her for a while, but a mysterious voice keeps answering with numbers. He adds that he and a co-worker have discussed the equation, and think it has to do with a 12th century alchemist developed mathematical subfield. It's clear that other dimensions are involved, and it seems like an unfinished incantation or sequence. This colleague also encountered a similar equation and a Belgian house where the family disappeared. Stephen is alone in the recreation room when Brian checks on Kira, even though the abacus is moving again. Kira shows Brian her data. Zardos, the Greek word for the empty space before time, means the abyss, and Leviathan is its serpent. Brian thinks she's overdoing the decorations again. He smashes the equation plaque to distract her. But it just bounces around, leaving no mark. The record player starts playing, and Stephen enters the secret compartment to find pale Ellie counting while revealing glyphs on her face. By the time his parents arrive, Ellie has left, leaving only her phone, and the record player is stuck on 10. The next day, a real estate agent calls Kira to report Featherstone's daughter's location. Kira enters a nursing home chapel and sees Rose, a wheelchair-bound elderly woman. Kira's nurse warns her that Rose may stop talking. Kira remains determined and asks Rose for help with Ellie. After a brief silence, Rose says Leviathan, but it's not the name. One of the 7 demon princes. Her father brought it to Earth to heal her brother. The ritual goes beyond basement. The whole house participates. On her way back, Kira only hears static and a counting voice when she calls National. Additionally, Brian has started his own investigation. A 5-pointed star is formed by joining the pentagon and triangles. This star and its symbols represent Baphomet, who guards hell. His arms spell solve coagulate, and he mimics Featherstone's gesture. Kira runs over to see everything and agrees with Rose. It dominates the house's design. Kira turns on the record player as Stephen loses control of his drone, and counts each step down the cellar to explain that the equation probably opens the gate. As the power goes out, Stephen screams vehemently, and Baphomet awaits him below. His parents pursue him furiously but only find the drone. They search the house but find nothing. They hear a voice counting down the stairs and see their son Stephen entering the secret compartment as his ball bounces. Stephen is taken away for treatment and diagnosed with a high fever. Brian gets water. Kira uncovers Stephen's brutal chest carving when she removes his shirt. Stephen restarts counting after remembering a horned beast he wrote. Kira resumes her search for Brian while he counts down in another room. He'll also announce it when he reaches 0. The cellar door opens automatically, releasing a wind gust. Baphomet's stomp can be heard. Kira grabs a flashlight and runs into the basement when the demon finds her fleeing. The stairs have grown longer and a door has been added. Kira rushes toward it to avoid the monster. She hides behind a wall at the base of the stairs and investigates while waiting for Baphomet to leave. A vast open space full of wanderers who appear to be counting themselves as they walk in a line surprises her as she passes through the tunnel. These spirits include Ellie. Which one? Kira uses her tattoo to find and takes her daughter. Kira drops the flashlight and hears Baphomet chasing them as she rushes to the stairs. Kira locks the cellar door to keep the beast inside when they return home, and the power returns. Kira says the family is fine, so leave. She finds her flashlight on the floor as she approaches the entrance. Once her family starts counting, Kira sees the long staircase when she opens the door. Kira counts soon after seeing the house. No longer in the woods, but on a wasteland. Subscribe and enable notifications for more videos like this. I appreciate your attention.